The 10 strongest characters in Bleach Part 2. Spoilers for the entire Bleach manga and 5 of the light novels. Starting the top 5 on this list is the only living being who could ever command the Sword God, the leader of Zero Division and the Monk of Names, Ichibei Hyosube. As a primordial being who has lived longer than the worlds themselves, Ichibei is a warrior of unfathomable skill and experience. He is also the foremost master of Kido in the Soul Society, almost assuredly having the capabilities to perform spells like time suspension, while simultaneously casting 90s level spells on his opponent frozen in time. And even beyond his arcane skills, the ancient monk possesses Reiatsu that utterly dwarfs characters like Head Captain Yamamoto, Yuha, and even pre-Hogyoku Aizen. This insane level of power also translates to his speed and physical strength. However, it's his special abilities that are truly terrifying. These are the abilities of metaphysical name manipulation, power stealing, astral limb projection, true immortality, and much more. Without a doubt, Ichibei Hyosube is a fighter worthy of starting off the top 5 of this list. Coming in at number 4 on my list is the hero of Soul Society who needs very little introduction, the hybrid monster named Ichigo Kurosaki, a hybrid possessing the genetics of the noble clans, a pure-blooded Quincy, and an artificial hollow held deep within. Not only did this result in latent spiritual pressure powerful enough to potentially shake the foundations of the worlds, but it also enabled a growth rate of truly godly proportions, a growth rate that has been perceived by others as though he had fought hundreds of battles in mere days, with his spiritual pressure and combat instincts growing accordingly. When it comes to speed, raw strength, and potential, there was no one in all of Bleach, save for the Soul King himself, who stands up to the might of Ichigo Kurosaki and Tensa Zangetsu, the blade that can shatter fate. And coming in at number 3 is the man who dared to take the position of a false god and stand atop the heavens himself, the immortal Sosuke Aizen. Now, even before he claimed the Hogyoku and attained his immortal body, Aizen was amongst the strongest Shinigami ever born. He was a near peerless prodigy in all of the Shinigami arts, and had the strongest spiritual pressure born into the Soul Society since Kenpachi Zaraki or Head Captain Yamamoto. However, all of this is just in addition to Aizen's 2 greatest weapons, his tremendous intellect and his Zanpakuto, Kyoka Suigetsu. As a result, Aizen is a being who can control all of your senses, both physical and spiritual, a warrior and spellcaster with few rivals, and a tactician who puts the greatest of generals to shame. Though after his fusion with the Hogyoku and attaining immortality, Sosuke Aizen has evolved far beyond his capabilities as a Shinigami, and continues to grow in strength with every passing second. Taking the number 2 spot on my list is the fallen Quincy King and the Son of God, the almighty Yuha. Though not just any version of Yuha, as prior to the awakening of the Almighty, in his absorption of the remains of the Soul King, Yuha was doubtlessly weaker than the 3 people listed beneath him on this list. However, upon the full awakening of his powers, the Quincy King becomes a being more akin to a true god than a man. With his full powers, Yuha gains the ability to see all potential futures from high above, as though they were grains of sand, and manipulate them at his whim, granting abilities such as seeing the true Bankai of Ichigo or Aizen's Kyoka Suigetsu in the future, and allowing him to shatter them through the Almighty's ability to alter fate, or the Almighty Eyes that allow Yuha to know all abilities he sees in the future, and all powers known to him lose their ability to defeat or even harm the Quincy King, not to mention the ability to rewrite his own death, or having the raw spiritual power to tear down the barriers between all of the worlds. These powers alone are nigh unstoppable. However, with the addition of the ability to steal powers, and all of the Quincy techniques used to their utmost potential, Soul King Yuha is truly a godly warrior. And finally, coming in at number 1 on my list as the strongest character in all of Bleach, is the being from which every and all Quincy, Shinigami, and Fullbringer derive their power, the primordial being who was born to save all of creation, the nigh omnipotent and omniscient Soul King. Now, I'm not talking about the semi-living shell of a corpse, universe that we see in the manga. I'm talking about the Prime Soul King, the god who once walked the primordial world and reduced all of the hollows to reishi sand. He is a being of near incomprehensible power, one who possessed all of the abilities of his sun, the infinite possible powers of the Fullbringers, and the purifying light of the Quincy, and much, much more. It was the power of the Rayo that split the very concepts of life and death. It was the power of the Rayo that separated and shaped the cosmos, and established the cycle of souls. We're talking about a being whose left hand governed conceptual progression, and whose right hand governed conceptual stagnation. A being of a level so unimaginable that he could likely undo the very existence of his almighty child with but a single wave of his hand. Without any shadow of a doubt, the strongest being in the history of the Bleach universe is the Rayo, before he sacrificed himself for the sake of a far-flung future.